This is a little unusual, but I think I'll manage for a single video. Hello everyone, welcome to Thursday. Yesterday I said that I would be bringing you a special video on how to understand the basic mechanics of the Pathfinder adventure card game. Keep in mind that this is not an in-depth tutorial, this is just so you can understand the very basics of the game and how it's played, maybe to decide if it's something you'd like to try yourself. So what I have in front of me is the Rise of the Runelords base set. This is the first set that came out for the Pathfinder adventure card game. The Pathfinder adventure card game is based on a lot of the lore, stories, I guess, of Pathfinder, which is a tabletop RPG, which is based off of D&D 3.5. It goes into a lot of stuff I don't understand. What I do understand is the game, because I have really enjoyed the Pathfinder adventure card game. It's a deck building game with tabletop RPG elements. It is not a tabletop RPG, it is mostly a deck building game. But this is the first set that came out, and when you buy the set, the MSRP on it's about 60 bucks. You might be able to find it a little bit cheaper. It comes with a tutorial adventure and also the first of 6 adventures. Well, 6 adventures. If you want to play the other adventures, they sell them for like $15 to $20 a piece, so you have to buy the rest of them if you want to keep going. Once we open up the box here, flip that lid, you'll get a chance to see all of what comes in the wonderful box. Not the pens. The pens are not included. You do get a very nice and very long instruction manual. The instruction manual is like 20-something pages. It also has a lot of art in it. It doesn't have as many examples of play as I would like. There was a few things that was a little confusing. I had to look up online, but eventually I did get it. And the other thing I have right here is a folder, which is not included. I got this folder myself at Walmart. In the folder I've printed out the character sheets, because you do actually have characters that you choose from that go on these adventures. And if you print out the character sheets, you don't have to mark on the cards. And that was kind of my deal. It's like, instead of marking on the cards, I'd rather do the character sheets. And they have these on the publisher's website if you prefer to do it that way. It's also nice because on the back of the instruction manual is a quick reference sheet to show you exactly what should be done in what order, so you have a turn overview and what you're supposed to do when you attempt to check, etc. So that's really convenient. So like I said, it comes with the tutorial adventure, and then it also comes with the first adventure, which is the Burnt Offerings. That comes in the box, so after you do the tutorial, you get to take the cards out of this box, mix them into all of the stuff in here, and proceed on Adventure 1. You do that, then you would buy Adventure 2, Adventure 3, so forth. Whenever you play a character in the game, you choose a pre-made character, and in the base set for Pathfinder Adventure card game, there are 7 characters. They also sell the character add-on pack, which adds 4 more characters, and all of the characters are very interesting, very different. I've played quite a few games of this now, and we've used nearly all the different characters, and they all feel very special in their own way. They feel like they are vital to the team, which I thought was really cool, because there's not repeats. It's like if you choose this one guy, they're going to be able to do something that no one else can do. So it's really really interesting. So that adds all of the necessary cards to have 4 extra playable characters in there, but also it allows you to go from 4 players, taking the game from a 4-player game to a 6-player game. So if you want to play with up to 6 people, which we did, you have to get this, because otherwise there won't be enough of the cards in there to make the decks. So what you do is you start by choosing a character. You actually can make your own character. There's actually a set of rules in the rulebook telling you how to do that, but I thought that was really complicated and dumb, so we just went with the pre-gens. There's a ranger, there's a bard, a fighter, a barbarian, there's a wizard, a sorceress, there's a rogue, there's a druid, there's a cleric, so a monk, pretty much anything that fits into a standard fantasy setting RPG is in here, and they all have different skills and abilities. So once you choose a character, you have their token card, and you would also have their stats card, so you'd have to go through here and figure out where their stats are. So this is Harsk, he's the ranger. So this is his stats card. And if I zoom in here, I'll be able to show you. See, this is weird for me because this is a camera setup I don't normally use, but I'm going to gonna do my best to utilize this. There we go, as long as I can hold it fairly steady. So this is Harsk's card, and you'll see that the characters have strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Next to those skills is a die, and that shows how many sides the die is that you roll. So strength is a d6, dexterity is a d8, constitution d12, and so on. So if you have to do a constitution check, for example, with Harsk, you get to roll a d12, which is the highest dice rolled in the game. There are no d20s in the game. But if you were going to have to do a charisma check, he's a dwarf. People don't like dwarfs, so you'd only roll a d4. You also see that he has a hand size of 5. Some of the characters vary in that. He's proficient with both light armors and weapons, and he has some other powers down there. At the end of your turn, you may examine the top card or bottom card of the location deck, and you may recharge a card to add a d4 to a combat check at another location. So the game is, I mean, at its most basic core, the game is a series of checks, and I'm going to lay out an example of how the game is played so you can understand just a little bit better. Also, I wanted to praise this box, because this box is fantastic. The box is designed to hold all of the entire Rise of the Runelord stuff. So you buy the base set, you buy the expansions, they all fit in here, and they hold the cards inside, but also as you play and you put them in here, there's slots that are just perfect for the entire expansions to fit in here. So this is like the one box you will need. I don't know, I'm big into that kind of thing, and it's really cool. So what happens is you will be starting by playing a adventure. So if we go to the adventure path, this comes in the box, and the adventure path basically outlines the 6 adventure decks that you're going to have to go through. Remember, 1 is included in the box. Then you go to the adventure. The adventure that comes in the box is Burnt Offerings. There's also a tutorial adventure, but what you're probably going to be wanting to jump into Burnt Offerings. And if we zoom in again, which is incredibly hard for me to do, I keep losing myself every time I do it. There we are, that is the adventure card. And you'll see it says complete these 5 scenarios in this order, and those are all the different scenarios you have to do. Now, once you complete all of them, you have completed Adventure 1, and at the bottom of the card you get a reward, you get a card feat, which basically means you would go to your little character card or your character sheet, and you'd get to mark one of the checkboxes off to make your character more powerful. So in order to start the adventure, you would find Attack on Sandpoint, which is the first scenario, and this is that card. And what happens is you'll see that there is a villain at the top, and there's some henchmen, and it says during this scenario, and it has a special scenario thing. If you defeat a monster with a goblin trait, you roll a d6. On a 1, each character at your location takes 1 fire damage. So there's special things that happen during each scenario. If you beat this scenario, you get a reward as well. So as you go through the game and you're completing scenarios, you are earning rewards. You're not only finding loot inside of the game, but you're also earning rewards for completing things. And now let's get to what this game is actually all about. So this is the layout of a very, very basic example for a 2-player game. Our 2 characters are Harsk and Lem, and they are going adventuring. Whenever you look on the back of a scenario card, it'll actually tell you which locations to use for how many characters there are. Basically, it's always the number of characters plus 2 locations. So since there's 2 playable characters, there's going to be 4 locations. Same thing works all the way up the line. If you have 6 characters, you're going to have 8 locations, and it tells you which ones to use. Then you go through the box and you find these location cards, and on the location cards, it actually says how many of each type of card to put in that particular location. So, for example, this location is the Catacombs of Wrath, and it says there should be 6 monsters in here, there should be 1 weapon, there should be 1 item, and then 0 on spells, 0 armor, etc. So you automatically know going into this location that there's no spells. So for example, if one of your characters is a spellcaster, you probably don't want to send them here because they're not going to be able to get any new spells. If someone is looking to fight a lot of monsters, this would be a good place to look, just for the fact that they're probably going to find a monster in here because there's a lot of different things. But the point of the game is to actually find and defeat a villain. There is a villain hiding somewhere in the decks. After you go through and do all of the location decks, you basically pull out the cards random from the box. For example, this says 6 monsters, so you'd go to your stack of monsters, you'd shuffle them up and draw 6 random ones. However many items, you'd draw that many items random, and you'd make these little stacks in front of the locations. You'd shuffle all of those up, and then you find the villain that matches whatever's on the scenario. In this particular case, it's RIPNUGGET and STICKFOOT. So you would find that villain from the box, and you would take bandits, which are or henchmen, which are kind of like little villains, and you would shuffle them into the decks. So the goal of the game is to find the villain and defeat him before time runs out. You have 30 turns collectively with everyone. So if you're playing with more people, you have less turns. So it's the pressure is definitely on to find and defeat this guy before time runs out. So the goal of the game is to find and defeat the villain. How you do that is on your turn, you decide where you're going to go. So if I was playing as Harsk, I would say, you know what, I'm going to go to Junk Beach. So I'd say I'm going to Junk Beach, and then I would explore the location. And I would do that by flipping the card up. And then I found a henchman. So at this point, I would have to fight the henchman. The henchman is a bandit, and on the card it says that the check to defeat is combat 8. So whenever it comes to combat, if you have a weapon you can roll for the weapon. If you don't have a weapon, you can roll for strength. For example, Harsk has a strength of D6. So if I was trying to defeat the bandit with strength alone, I would only get to roll a D6. But his check to defeat is an 8, so I'd have to roll an 8 or higher, and obviously things would get very difficult if I could only roll a D6, because I'm probably not going to get an 8 on a 6-sided die. It gets very complicated. I'm doing my best not to explain the entire set of rules, but other players that are playing along with you are able to cast different spells or use different blessings on your character to give them extra dice to help them in fights. There's different items. There's all sorts of different things that you can do. There's different powers because each of the characters have different powers. It's a very well thought out and complex game that doesn't require a dungeon master, but is incredibly well thought out and very, very good. I like deck building games. I was a big fan of Ascension. This takes the idea of a deck building game and really stretches it out because it is long term. Your characters are going to level up. They're going to get new equipment. So for example, if we flip over this card, let's say Lem goes and explores Glassworks and he finds the Bastard Sword. He has a check to acquire of 8, and the check is strength or melee. So if he can roll his strength die and get at least an 8, this now belongs to him. And the cool thing is, even if that is of no use to Lem, after the game, he can give that to another character. All of the people share a inventory. They can say, you know what, I got the sword, I don't need it. That, you can use this, or I got a bow, I don't need it, you can use this, I got a potion, etc. So there's a real big camaraderie amongst the people playing because it's a very cooperative game, and you have to be careful because your personal deck is actually your health. So if you ever run out of cards in your deck, you die. So it's I don't know. Once again, I'm trying not to explain too much. I just want to get enough out there so you can kind of get the gist of it. But the point of the game is to find and defeat the villain before 30 different rounds are over. So it is a bit stressful, but it's incredibly fun. And what I wanted to do is I actually wanted to play this for you guys. And this is where I'm actually going to turn the camera up because I think it would be more appropriate if you were looking at my face whenever I talk to you. Hello. All right, you'll have to excuse me. I'm not used to this setup. I don't normally use this camera for vlogs. Hopefully I did a pretty good job explaining the game. Hopefully you understood at least the very basics of it. Like I said, you're basically exploring different locations, you're fighting monsters, you're collecting loot, and the cool thing is you're doing it with your friends, so then you can trade items and stuff between games, and it's not as complex as a tabletop RPG. And it's basically melting some of those elements together with a deck building game, and it's very long term, and I've loved it. So I just want to get that across because I have never been a tabletop RPG person. I've only played a little bit of Pathfinder proper, and I liked it, but I really loved the card game, and hopefully you guys will too. But I was thinking of actually going through maybe like the tutorial scenario on Steven Plays. That's a really big move for us because we have only ever done video games over there, and I thought it would be cool if Mal and I actually worked together and went through the tutorial campaign for the game. It would be interesting. It would be different. It would definitely be something different, but it's something I would like to try at some point in the future. I just want to know how you guys would react to seeing essentially a board game or a card game on Steven Plays. If we did the tutorial scenario, or scenarios, basically the tutorial adventure, it'd probably take about 10 episodes at most, so it'd probably be around on the channel for a month. I would love to try it. It's probably not something we're going to try in the very immediate future, but if you guys are willing and want to see it, then we will bring it to the channel either late this year or early 2015. So that's Pathfinder Adventure Card Game. I've had a blast with it. It's so much freaking fun. It's probably not for everyone, but most of the people I've showed it to have been really impressed with it, and like I said, now we're getting a group of guys together to actually play through the game. I really like how special each character feels and how much of an individual they are. At the core of the game, you're just rolling dice, and I get that, but each character feels valuable to the team, and I don't know, it's just really cool, especially when you're playing with a lot of people. It's really nice. Anyway, that's it for today. Hopefully this wasn't an incredibly boring vlog. Hopefully maybe you learned something. I don't know if I did a great job of explaining the game, but I tried. It is complex. There's a lot of stuff I didn't go over, but I'm crossing my fingers that maybe you enjoyed it. And if you want to see more, let me know, because I would really love to go through just a little bit of the game on Steven Plays and actually really do a good production. We would actually scan in the cards, so whenever we were talking about a particular card, we could have it appear on screen, so we won't be adjusting the camera and all that. That would be something I would love to do. But I want to hear from you guys first. That's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you've learned something, good. If you've played the game before and you can speak for its goodness or its badness, maybe you don't like it, that's fine. Say it down below. Tomorrow Dan is going to get in around 3 p.m. and then on Saturday we're doing all day Pathfinder Adventure Card Games, so you can tell I'm very excited about it. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, let's meet back tomorrow, shall we? This is what I got. I got a 4 terabyte external hard drive. 4 terabytes. That is the biggest storage amount that I've ever purchased in my life. I've never had a 4 terabyte drive before. This is my first. I really like theater. Do you like theater, Grandma? Grandma? Grandma, are you okay? Or I hate marriage.